Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to SportsZone. Coming to you live from the North Texas studios. I'm your host, Eric Chiofalo, and we're also streaming live on Facebook today, so hello to our Facebook audience. Lots to get to today. As always, we'll have our Mean Green drill and our Mean Green report. We're also just one day away from the NFL draft. We will get our Cowboys perspective on what's to come for tomorrow evening. But we're going to start things off with the NBA and NHL playoffs. I have Kennedy Miller and Joey Catalano here with me. But boys, before we even get to the playoff stuff, a couple of weeks ago, right here on our lovely Sports Zone, my man Joey Catalano looked dead into the camera and gave us a bold prediction about the hockey playoffs. Can we play that, please?
If he gets a cameo, I want a cameo.
All right, do
here,
it.
Right here. Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews are going to win their 4th Stanley Cup in 7 years. Take that one.
All right, so you boldly predicted that the Chicago Blackhawks, the 1 seed in the NHL playoffs, were going to go and win the Stanley Cup. What ended up happening?
What ended up happening is that the Nashville Predators finally got sick of the Blackhawks kicking them in the teeth every year in the playoffs, and the Predators' best players were their best players, and honestly, the Hawks' best players were their worst players. And Pekka Rinne, the Predators' goalie, just stood on his head and. I really don't know what to say. Me, along with a lot of other analysts, I mean, granted with a few more credentials than I do, also picked the Chicago Blackhawks to win the Cup this year. But
well, for the first time in sports history, the Predators, the 8th seed, brought out the brooms and took the sweeping to the 1 seed Blackhawks. And not only is that the first time, that's not the first time in NHL history, that's the first time in sports history. Can you believe that? Basketball. Have you ever seen that in basketball?
I can't believe it.
No, you have not.
He's telling me.
It's all right. Hey, you're a Blackhawks fan, though, so were you sad or what?
I was sad, but there was also part of me that was kind of like, you know what? Okay, you know what? Nashville's been put down so many times, and, you know, even though there are rivals, it's cool to see another team from that division going in there. Actually, I predicted the St. Louis victory in that series. I also predicted Edmonton to win theirs. And then I was 0 for 2 in the East, or 2 for 4 in the East. But
so you've been so on your picks so far.
I've been about 50-50.
All right, fair enough. We'll get some more predictions
Absolutely.
from you here in just a moment. But let's swing over to the NBA side of things, Kennedy. Let's look at the first round. Some of the series are already done. We got a couple more to go. But let's look at the ones that are over with now. Any surprises with who came out on top?
No. Unlike Joey's team here that got swept, my team does the sweeping.
That's right.
We carry the brooms around
there,
here.
it's over there.
Okay, so we got rid of Indiana quick as possible.
Painless.
Cleveland gets a whole week of a rest. Golden State got rid of Portland. Not surprising by anyone that it was a sweep for them as well. So they're at home resting. And then Houston, you know, they took all the punches from Russell Westbrook and still got out in 5. And so the Thunder are at home as well. And so you've got those 3 teams, and everybody else is pretty much just fighting it out.
Yeah, so and in the East, we still have the Bulls are still in it playing the Celtics. We still got Milwaukee playing Toronto. Any of these series, how do you see them playing out?
Well, I think Toronto will take it. They're up 3-2. Even if Milwaukee wins this next game, they still have to go to Game 7 and play in Jurassic Park. And
they're a young team, the Bucks.
They are, and Giannis is a stud. But like you said, they're young. This is one of their first times in the playoffs, so they're probably going to lose. And then Chicago and Boston, depending on Rondo's health. I know if you're not going to root for the Blackhawks, you might as well root for the Bulls, being an 8 seed. And so I hope they win. And I think if there wasn't a Rondo injury, they would have already finished off this series. And
okay, so how much do you think that's going to play a factor, I mean, moving forward?
I think it definitely will play a factor because without Rondo, their guards are thin. You know, Michael Carter-Williams, Jerry and Grant, I'm not too afraid of those guys. But when you have Rajon Rondo along with Jimmy Butler and Dwayne Wade, now you're talking about a backcourt that can do some serious damage to this Celtics team.
All right, very good. Well, let's send it on back over to the hockey stuff now.
Yeah. Well, actually, just to piggyback off what he said for youth, the biggest story in the NHL playoffs right now is definitely the Edmonton Oilers. You know, with their youth, they have, like I said, 20-year-old Connor McDavid, who had 100 points in the NHL this year, 20 more than the next closest player. They made mincemeat of the San Jose Sharks, and honestly, I see them having a good series with Anaheim. You know, I like their youth, I like their energy, but Anaheim just has more experience, and I feel like the experience is going to topple kind of the youth energy movement that's going on in Edmonton right now. And then honestly, in the East, Ottawa and New York, those are the two teams that I figured were going to be losses. I thought it was going to be Boston, Montreal. Obviously, it doesn't happen often, but I was wrong. And but I'm liking Ottawa. I have New York circled here, but my gut's telling me that Ottawa and Eric Carlson and that D-core is definitely gonna give Jonathan Vesey and Chris Kreider a run for their money in New York. And then Jonathan, our producer, man, I'm sorry, I still like Washington, even though they got a little bit of a scare with the Toronto Maple Leafs last series.
No love for Pittsburgh.
I still like Washington. Pittsburgh hasn't really won me over, even though they made pretty good, like I said, mincemeat again of the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Well, your finals, your Stanley Cup prediction was the Blackhawks, obviously. They got swept away, so who's going to slide in now to be your prediction? And we won't put too much marbles in this one for you because it's probably not going to come true.
Well, you know what?
It's just tentative. We won't hold it against you.
I think if David takes down Goliath, you got to go with David. I think it's going to be a Washington-Nashville Stanley Cup now if everyone lets me edit my pick. I think it'll be Nashville-Anaheim in the Western Conference Finals. I think Nashville will pull away just because they got the energy. In the East, I got Washington over Ottawa, obviously. So it's a toss-up in the NHL right now, without a doubt.
All right, quickly, is it still Warriors-Cavs on a collision course?
Yes, sir, but do not sleep on the Jazz. ISO Joe is playing as smooth as a jazz saxophone right now.
He's balling. I love it. All right, thank you, gentlemen. Second round of NHL playoffs does start tonight. We do have some more first-round NBA action tonight as well, so be on the lookout for that. But stick around, because coming up next, Tyler Perkins gives us our Mean Green Report.
The UNT women's volleyball team season this past fall can best be described in one word: challenging. With their worst record in 4 years, you would assume it would be time to hit the reset button. Well, that's exactly what the team is trying to do next season, head in a new direction. And it all starts this offseason as these ladies try to bump, set, and spike their way back to prominence. SportsZone caught up with the team's 4 seniors to discuss spring workouts, building towards next year, and the future of the program.
There. Good dig by Baylor, but Alexis.
This past fall wasn't exactly the season that Mean Green women's volleyball was hoping for. Posting a 13-19 record in head coach Andrew Palaleo's 4th season and a first-round exit in the Conference USA tournament to Southern Miss, the team left a lot of questions to be answered. However, next season could show a very different story, especially with a group of experienced leaders returning to the court.
I think just day in and day out, we want to make sure that we're like a cohesive unit. I think we finally have a team that isn't missing or lacking in any position, so we want to just be able to practice really consistently, practicing well really consistently, and then bringing that to the games where every night we're playing for each other and kind of understand each other.
Well, this is the first year we've actually had a bigger upper class, so it feels good to have a lot of starters coming back and not have to get 4 freshmen on the court out there, so we're focused on the upperclassmen kind of carrying the team.
Seniors Alexis Wright, Holly Millam, Amanda Chamberlain, and McKaylee Myers look to improve the team's performance from this past season, hoping to achieve this through the hard work they've put in through off-season this spring.
I think this spring has gone really well. We really learned from our last season, and we took what we learned and really tried to implement it this spring, and I think we did a very good job at it.
Woo! The spring, for me personally, it was a good learning experience because as a middle, there's a lot to learn, but people don't really get that. But it has been a lot of learning, especially with my blocking because it wasn't that hot last year. So I thought the spring was a really good time to work on that.
Another reason for optimism surrounding the team is a strong core of young, talented players, along with several promising incoming freshmen to add to the talent pool.
I think our 2 freshman outsides definitely have helped us out this spring and will continue helping us out throughout the fall. We're getting 2 new DSs, so I'm excited to see them and what they're going to give to the team.
I think we have a lot of good young kids coming in. Val and Barber here now, they came in early, and they're just definitely going to have a huge impact. Emma, she'll be a sophomore, and she's going to play a big role. Same with Bryn. So we have a lot of young kids that are going to be asked to step up, but don't necessarily have to because we have a lot of upperclassmen in some good leadership positions.
All conference standouts Millam and Chamberlain, along with their fellow seniors, take on a major sense of responsibility for leading the team to success next year.
I think just being a part of the senior class, we're the first class that Coach Pally brought in, and we learned from him these past 4 years, and now we're trying to just take what we learned and pass it on to the incoming freshmen and everybody who's here.
Being that voice out there on the court, just letting my teammates know that I'm here for them, and then I can trust them and they can trust me to put the ball down when they need to.
Every day we're just going to come in and compete because nobody has that spot secured anymore. We have all that depth, and it's just going to really raise the bar that much more.
Reporting for SportsZone, I'm Tyler Perkins.
With a good mix of veteran leadership and young talent on the team, the Mean Green look poised for a bounce back next season. And with these 4 outstanding senior leaders, it seems like almost a sure thing. Coming up after the break, Josh Conrad and Dominic Walker will preview the upcoming NFL Draft and the Cowboys' strategy going into it.
The NFL Draft is just a day away, so let's send it on over to Dominique Walker and Josh Conrad for our little NFL Draft preview, see who they like for the Dallas Cowboys. Fellas, take it away.
Well, it's the most exciting time of the year for NFL fans. The NFL Draft and the Dallas Cowboys have a huge opportunity tomorrow night to kind of replace the thoughts of Tony Romo and see how they can get better from that. Let's go ahead and start with my list. First up, first round, Adoree Jackson. A lot of corners are projected for the Cowboys at this pick. They have the 28th pick in the draft. Adoree Jackson is one of the best athletes in college football. This guy is amazing. Why not get a punt returner? Why not get an amazing coverage corner? Cowboys ranked 27th last year in giving up passing yards. It would be ludicrous to do anything else but take a corner in the first round.
But with Adoree Jackson, he's a person who's a little undersized and doesn't have the speed to match some receivers. And when that time comes, he usually gives space. So that's my only issue with him.
You know what he says to the undersized? The Jim Thorpe board's pretty small too, but he likes having that one as the best coverage corner in college football. Second round, TJ Watt. We heard all about Cowboy fans wanting to trade Romo for JJ Watt. Why not get TJ Watt? You can still wear the jersey like it's JJ. It's a win-win for everybody. This guy's a freak at Wisconsin. I hate watching Big Ten football, but he is so much fun to watch. It's amazing. Third round, Jordan Lewis out of Michigan had an amazing 2015 season. Not quite as good as past year, but reminds me kind of Quandre Diggs, a little undersized. Why not stack up on corners if you're the Cowboys? Fourth round, Deshaun Hall from Texas A&M, 6'5", 266, just a freak, amazing athlete. 7 sacks this 2015 season, 3.5 this past year. I mean, this guy up front for the Cowboys gets that quarterback. You know, you talk about giving up all the passing yards. Well, if you get to the quarterback, it helps out your safeties and corners a little bit.
Right.
I think that would be a great pick. You go to the 6th round now, they don't have a 5th round pick. KD Cannon out of Baylor. We talk about Adoree Jackson. Well, KD Cannon's one of the other best athletes in the draft. It'd be awesome for the Cowboys. In 7th round, Joe Mixon. I don't like the guy, but he's going to get drafted by somebody. He probably will go earlier than the 7th round. But it's clear the Cowboys don't care about character issues. We've seen them take Greg Hardy. We've seen them take chances on guys. It's not a big issue for Jerry Jones. Joe Mixon, he's used to sharing a backfield. He's used to being the second fiddle behind Samaje. Apparently, he's one of the best running backs in the draft from all the reports. I would take Joe Mixon here.
See, but with Joe Mixon, like he is a great running back, but he waits a little too long till the hole opens up, and that's when he puts on the gas. And if you can't be so hesitant in the backfield. You've seen with Ezekiel Elliott this past year, he's a person that pushes right from as soon as he gets the ball in his hand. If you're too hesitant, it's going to hurt the team a little bit.
Agreed. And then 7th round, though, I have Speedy Noel. They'll get 2 picks. Another guy, kind of character issues. A lot of people don't really see him being drafted, but I think why not take a shot? He's another guy, amazing athletes. I guess that's kind of the theme of all my picks. They're all amazing athletes. I'd go Noel, 7th round.
Okay. Well, we can move on to my picks. I have Charles Harris, the defensive end from Mizzou, is the person going in the 1st round. He's a person who's a great pass rusher. He's able to get into the backfield, uses his arms really well, and has a very lethal spin move. The only thing about him is that he did start playing football junior in high school, so he's a little underdeveloped, but Jerry Jones and his crew can work with that. It gives him something to develop with. Quincy Williams, the cornerback out of Florida, is another person he's not afraid to cover the people who are the best receivers on the team, which I feel makes him a good pick. And he's a cornerback who's not afraid to go downhill to make tackles. And that's something that you need as a corner position. We've lost a couple people this year with Morris Claiborne and Brandon Carr. So I feel like having somebody who's not afraid to go downhill makes him a good priority pick for Dallas. And then with Ishmael Zamora,
he wasn't even the best player on his team, the best receiver on his team.
See, but Ishmael Zamora, like he only played his position for 8 games this past season, but he has that build at 6'2", over 200 pounds, where he has the ability to make a good impact as a receiver. And he's a player too. Like I said, he's not a player who's been looked at a lot, but he has those stats and that athleticism, running a 4.4 in the combine, that gives him that type of ability to make an impact. And it's beginning to be a new wave for the Cowboys. You see with Romo going out, Des Bryant can't do it all by himself. And Jason Witten, you see they're all getting up in age, so you're going to need those players to replace. And then
Go with somebody else besides him. Anybody but Ishmael Zamora.
Well, that's my pick. I feel like he would be able to do good. Juwan Price, the defensive end out of Pitt, is a good pass rusher, especially off the edge, but his arms are a little short. That's my only issue with him. But I feel like as a pass rusher that you can pick up late, that'd be something, especially since Dallas needs pass rusher. And then Blair Brown, the linebacker out of Ohio, is a person who loves to go and make plays from the get-go. He reads offenses really well and goes downhill to make plays, but he's also just a little bit short. He's about 5'11". That's his only issue. And then my last pick in round 7 will be Aaron June, the running back from UTEP, which is a person who I would say is a little undersized. He's kind of small, but he's also a person who he's very explosive in his running style, very twitchy. He's had over 4,000 yards in his career, so I feel like that's a person that you want to have on your team.
Well, I mean, we'll see whose draft list looks a little bit better. We know it's going to be mine. It's pretty obvious. Let's go ahead and send it back to Eric.
All right, thank you, boys. The draft starts tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, and the Cowboys, of course, have the 28th pick. Coming up next, we have our Mean Green Drill. Stay tuned. Welcome back inside the North Texas studios. It's time for our final segment of the day, and here to help me out with our Mean Green Drill is Bria Graves and Jocelyn Mitchell. Ladies, how are we?
I'm doing well.
Fantastic. All right, very good. Well, we got some tennis stuff to get to. We got some softball stuff to get to. So let's dive right into the tennis stuff. The UNT hosted the Conference USA tennis tournament last week. How did the Mean Green fare?
In my opinion, I think they did pretty well. I mean, you got to give and take that this is a young group. And the thing that I love so much about college sports is it doesn't matter what you're ranked in the season. All that matters is if you come up during Conference USA.
That's right.
The two main pairing teams, Kananova and Tamuna, they have been undefeated the entire time until they lost in the semifinals.
Dang it.
It was their first loss and gave them a 17-1 record.
Well, that's still pretty impressive.
It's very impressive,
I mean, she was
actually.
breaking records left and right
Especially
this year,
seeing that they're so young. Yes. Kananova, she has won Conference USA 3 times in a row. So I think that's very great.
Yeah, that's impressive. What about you? What did you think of the conference tournament last week?
Yeah, just as Jocelyn said, they're a young team. 2 star players, they're sophomores. It was just a bad Saturday. We all have them.
Oh, we all have them.
Yeah, we all have them. So even the coach, the coach says, it's okay. We, as long as we progress as the season goes on. But they
definitely did, right?
They did. This is their first loss to the Rice Owls, who they're outstanding.
They're
exactly,
so,
exactly. So they lost to a good team.
Sure.
Yeah. And one thing, sorry.
No, you're good. Keep going.
One thing the coach said was that with a team like this, they have to come their best. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, she said they started horrible and then they caught up at the end. So they are a fighting team.
Yep.
It's just that they have to keep going. But 2 players that I also wanted to point out is Alexandria and Ivana. Now, Alexandria, she lost her match too, but the 2 as a pair, they could be a force to reckon with too. So we might not just be looking forward to Tamuna and Kananova,
very good.
because they have beaten 2 ranked teams, which is 2 more than Tamuna and Kananova even beat in the first place.
Gotcha.
And both of their records were 6-2 in the conference.
Well, that's impressive stuff. Well, you've mentioned how young they are. Does that mean you expect good things in the years to come for the tennis team?
I definitely do.
Definitely?
More than, because that's the thing with being young is you keep growing, you get that criticism, you learn more. The coaches, you see the bond. She never downs her team. She's always appreciative. She tells them what they need to do, and she still works with them. And they're very, very competitive girls.
All right, very good. Well, let's transition to the softball team. Mean Green softball had a couple of tough losses last week against OU and ACU. What happened in those matchups?
As for tennis, softball team, it was not a good.
Just not their week, huh?
It was not.
Shoot.
Abilene Christian, they came out strong. They came out very strong, and it was just one of those things. They came out so strong that we couldn't really
keep up,
Yeah.
you know, towards the end of the game.
It got a little out of hand. Final
It
score
did.
6-2.
Yeah, exactly.
And
They came out
OU kind of put it
4-2.
on them a little bit as
Yeah.
well, winning. It was like 8-1 or something like that.
Well,
wasn't
yeah,
it?
OU is the defending champions.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they're awesome.
they're coming with, you know, with the quickness. They're going to give you what they got because
Absolutely.
they want it again. They want to be the two-time defending
That's
for
right.
next
Trying
year.
to repeat.
Exactly.
Now, Abilene, they already had 4 before they even started trying to come up.
Yep.
So Abilene came aggressive. The coach even said that they were very aggressive. And honestly, we need to be as aggressive. But at the time, at the end of each game in any sport you play is who wants it the most.
Of course.
And Abilene definitely showed that they wanted it more than North Texas.
Okay, well, let's look ahead. They got a weekend matchup against Louisiana Tech, but tonight they're playing the Longhorns in Austin. What are we thinking about that game? Do we think they got a shot?
I mean, yeah, we definitely have a shot. As long as Jessica Elder is out there competing
Yeah.
for the softball team, I feel like we definitely have a shot against UT. Currently, they're 25-20. So we're not a
They're
bad
about
softball
average,
team.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we definitely have a shot. Like I said, Jessica Elder she's been having an amazing season. So as long as she comes out, and we have to start early. We can't lag like
Yeah,
we
we
did with ACU.
Can't get down
We
4-0 to
can't.
start the game,
We
right?
can't.
Okay, well,
Definitely.
let's look ahead to the weekend against Louisiana Tech. How do you like that matchup? What do you see happening?
I think that one right there is going to be way better than UT because UT is going to be pretty hard. I mean, they have some good players, and they're leading us in the season with 13-1. But with UTEC, they have lost a couple of games. Their record is not as strong as like OU and Abilene and all of that. So I think that we actually have a pretty good win because it's not like we have a horrible team.
Sure.
We have a very great team,
Yeah.
and we have a very great coach as well. But I think that LA Tech is going to be a way better game as far as us winning and coming with a victory than UT.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much for the insight, ladies. Don't forget, the softball team is taking on the Longhorns in Austin tonight. That's at 6 o'clock. But that's it for the Mean Green Drill, and that is it for season number 12 of SportsZone. Thank you so much for joining us this season. It's been amazing. Thank you to our wonderful producers and the entire crew. You guys are phenomenal. We could not do it without you. Season 12 is officially in the books. We will be back in September for season number 13. We will see you then.